record this computer. Let's get to it. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me for another day of 10-minute burst of innovation, where we talk about transforming uncertainty into innovation. 10 minutes, one topic, in and out. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you on here for all your incredible participation, your enthusiasm. I even know from some of you who have emailed me separately that you're putting a lot of this stuff into action. That is incredible. You're getting tremendous value out of it. You're not just listening to me, you're actually doing it. And that's, as we all know, where the rubber meets the road. So please do more of that. It's absolutely incredible. We will be giving away another book today. Innovation is Everybody's Business. I would show you one, but it's propping on my computer so that I'm not looking down at you the whole time. All right. So remember, innovation is everybody's business. We'll be giving another one away today. Okay. I want to talk today about fear and failure. And I think, how did we say it? When the stakes seem high. But I'm going to give us a little bit of a different lens to look at this through, because I think that, we've had the conversation about the primal brain, about the reticular activating system, just about change from a mindset and from a primal perspective. And I'm happy to go back to that. But I want to take that and apply it to the situation that we are in right now. And I want to explain a little bit around fear and failure, because it actually connects to risk and reward and how we view risk and reward. And then I want to put some things in your brain of what to think about risk and reward with your organization as it relates to innovation, as it relates to the fear of change, as it relates to the failure and the successes that you may or may not have. So let's talk about that. And by talking about that, I actually want to first share a couple examples with you. And in fact, let me share my screen. I think actually that's the first thing I should do. So let me go to the PowerPoint and let me show you, start slideshow. Okay, and let me open up the chat bar so I can see everything. All right, so here's typically what happens. And this is the reason I'm covering all this is because this really impacts how we perceive and how we manage and deal with fear and failure, and how it shows up for us as individuals, as teams, and in the work that we do. Here's where we typically are with fear and failure, right? It's about, as I said, connecting to how we view and the situation that we're in around risk and reward. And I want you to come out of this with a different view and an understanding of the risk and reward teeter-totter that we're in now versus in normal times. So this is normal times, right? So risks are things like, and the risks are the driving forces at this point, right? They're the things that really decide what we do or don't do. And the risks are, it takes away from our current success. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Maybe if we do something else, something innovative, it's time away from other immediate priorities, right? The fires that we have to deal with. We might face failure, perceived and real, or real, I should say, right? And that failure is, the product didn't work, my new workflow failed, or whatever it is. Competitive threats might seep in, right? That's another risk. Or, and this is the more personal one, it requires change, right? Change is, that's too hard. I don't think we should do that. Or that takes energy, or that's going to change how I do things. Those are the risks that we think we face. And if you have other ones that in quote unquote normal times, I want you to put them in the chat bar. Like, what are those risks that keep you from innovating, that make you deal with fear and failure in a certain way, right? Now you can imagine if those are the risks that you perceive, fear and failure show up in a different way because that's what you're dealing with. Where the rewards kind of on the bottom end of the teeter-totter are not that forceful, right? They don't thrust you forward. Success, all right, well, if we're not really failing, I don't know that we need more success. We're good with what we're doing. Yeah, we could get new customers, but we've got some now. Yeah, we could get new markets, but we have some now. I could be more productive, but the risk, right? That's going to require change to what I'm already doing. Hopefully you understand where I'm going with this, right? This is kind of the basis for where that fear and that failure comes from. So let me share a story with you. So I have a major restaurant chain as one of my clients, and I've worked with them over multiple years. And 2 years ago when I started with them, they really needed to think about moving to more delivery, more takeout, right? Uber Eats was coming up. People weren't going to sit in restaurants the way they used to. They weren't paying for the experience. And this was a mid-level restaurant. So not a McDonald's, but not fine dining, right? Kind of something in between. So not cheap, but not expensive either. Not like steak at a special house. So they wanted to do that, but the risk kept getting in the way. Well, but will that alienate current customers? Well, if we do that, we have to switch up our kitchens and how they operate. Will that cause a decrease in workflow on another side of the business? All right, yeah, we need to do it, but it's not popular, Uber Eats or whichever delivery is not popular in every environment. So we don't need to worry about rolling it out quickly. Now you can imagine what's happened recently and how that conversation has shifted. What happens is our risk reward drastically shifts, right? Suddenly the risk is like, oh my gosh, and I'm just gonna use the restaurant as the example. If we don't figure out a real, a real delivery methodology and process, we're gonna be irrelevant because our doors are closed. The risk becomes survival. The risk becomes missed opportunities in a massive way. The risk becomes minimal productivity or lack of work completely, lack of value, showing your own value, right? Versus the rewards, new customers, new markets, product workflow. But now the risks are actually a driving force. Please tell me in the chat bar if you see the difference between the two, if that's resonating with you, right? Let me go back. The risks before were holding us back. So the fear was actually movement. The failure that we were concerned about are things we haven't done yet. That's a very different starting point than where we are now, which is those risks become our driving forces. They become the things that push us forward. The rewards are there too, but it actually is the risks that are pushing us forward. So you better believe this restaurant is leveraging the risk. Exactly, Carolyn, risk creates opportunity. I love that. That is so well said. I'm going to say it again because it's so brilliant. Risk creates opportunity. Absolutely. So here are the 4 things, I think it's 4, that I want you to think about in terms of how to think differently about fear and failure based on all of this. So the one is risks have become a driving force. Exactly what Carolyn said, not a resisting force. Use that to move forward. Now, I'm not saying, hold the doom and gloom over people, but leverage the fact that these shifts are actually pushing us forward in a different way. Fear and failure have a primal feel for people now more so than ever. Remember how we talked about how like the lizard brain and the brick wall of the reticular activating system? Recognize that. Recognize that fear and that it's primal with the people that you are leading. Okay. Kirby says this is analogous to not having a current resume and then a job loss comes upon you. Right. Exactly. Right. You've got to use what's happening to push you forward. So that's the second thing I want you to do. I want you to recognize it. The third thing is I want you to think about, you can't lead and manage the way you used to. The inputs are different, like I talked about with that teeter-totter. And I can scroll back if anybody wants to take a screenshot of the teeter-totter, because I think that just helps us think about adjusting how we lead relative to the situation and to the people that we're leading. Number 4, innovation has become a now thing, not an eventually thing. Use it. I think a lot of us know this intuitively with what's going on, right? But leverage that fact. Leverage the fact that innovation has to happen. Then innovation is survival. So use it, recognize it, adjust it, leverage it. So let me go back to this teeter-totter so you can take a screenshot of it. Beep, beep. I wish I had good sound effects. All right, so this is normal. This is normally what we're dealing with, right? The risks become that resisting force that keep us from innovating. Now, those risks are a driving force that's pushing us into innovation. So the fear of failure that we feel is sliding down that teeter-totter to irrelevancy and lacking survival and lacking value and lacking contribution and lacking a place. That's the fear we face. Where before, right, that fear is perceived and real. That fear is failure in terms of something new I'm trying. It keeps us from moving forward. So in this one on this Friday, I just wanted you guys to think about how to use it and recognize it, adjust and leverage. I think it's really important that with fear and failure, we understand that that balance of power and risk and reward has shifted, and that creates a different sense around fear and failure. God, these things go by so fast, don't they? You guys are fantastic. All right, so I have a Q&A, so I'm going to just open that up and see what the question is. Oh, becoming irrelevant. Yes, risk. Exactly, Donna. Thank you for sharing that. That is a huge risk. And I am going to give you a book, which I don't have in front of me. It's behind me. Woo woo. Donna, email me later. Thank you. Yes. And I think that that's true on the personal level right now. I think it's true on the professional level. And by the way, it's real. That's why being innovative and understanding how you innovate, I think is so critical right now, because that is the value and the worth. And that is how you kind of pull out from the hole that a lot of us are in. And by the way, if you're in a company where you're like, actually, things are pretty good right now, amazing. My question to you then is, how do you innovate so that you can stay on top when things start to shift again, when the quarantine's released, when all this is figured out? We're not going to go back to business as usual, but there'll be another shift ahead of us. So think about that. Wanted to remind you guys, no live on Friday, April 17th, this next Friday, because we're doing our Innovation Summit, which I'm so excited about. If you haven't gotten your spot, get it. Okay. Fantastic as always. Thank you for your comments. Thank you so much for your engagement and your participation. Go back. Think about those 4 things. Take this screenshot. And then what I would love from you is, I would love an email telling me how you're using it. That would make me not only make me happy, but I think it would give us more short stories to share with each other. And we want to make sure that we are leaping the knowing and doing gap. It's one thing to know. It's another thing to do. All right. While you email me with the action you've taken, also let me know if there's any specific situations or topics that you want me to cover. If you've got a challenge at your work, this is happening, this is not happening, we're struggling with this, I can talk about it on here and keep it very high level so that there's no confidential information shared, but it makes it very real and tangible for all of us. I will continue to bring as many stories as I can, but I'd love to have yours as well. Yes, I can go back to capture. Is this the list you want, Donna? I think this is the list. If not, let me know. Thank you. Thank you. You're all amazing. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you get some sunshine in your face, and I will see you all Monday, 9 a.m. Donna, I think this is the one you wanted, but if it's not, I'll just stay on here for a second and let me know. All right. I think that was it. All right, everyone. Good. Thanks, Donna. Thank you. Thank you.